Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Endgame, baby. And we're back with Iron Man, the newly reformed Iron Man. And let's just start it off. The skill effects are amazing. That's just something I have to say right off the bat for him. But more than that, there are a bunch of hidden effects on these skills that you're going to want to take advantage of in certain situations to make him even stronger. But this new Iron Man, this new Tony, is different in a lot of ways, and maybe the playstyle is going to be a little bit different. The visuals, of course, are beautiful, but I think people are going to be happy with the rework. He may not be a god like some people want him to be, but that's just kind of the way things go. But I do think that he is going to satisfy a lot of people. I think he's going to do really well in ABX. I think they particularly targeted that as an area of improvement for him. I don't think, my initial impressions are that I don't think Tony is going to be that good for PvP, but I could be wrong. There, I just missed my proc. But let's just showcase some of the things that Tony does really, really well now. So the first thing is his new fourth skill. His new fourth skill, as you can see, we're not using any strikers, but it does apply all defense down towards the end of the skill effect. His new fifth skill has a tremendous amount of damage, so you definitely want to try and proc on his fifth skill, although his fourth skill does have good damage as well. His third skill probably doesn't do very good damage, so you just want to use it for the really good buff. But on top of that, there's a hidden effect here on his fourth skill, which is a 33% heal. And now it's really, really cool. So we're going to show it off here. We already showed it off once, but we're going to show it off one more time intentionally. We're going to take damage on purpose. We're going to lower ourselves below 50% HP. And then we're going to... I think this is good enough. And we're going to do the fourth skill. And now you'll see that at the end of the fourth skill, despite not having any... there you go. Not having any strikers, not having anyone on the team that could heal me, I healed for 13,900 HP, and that's a lot of HP to heal for, which is about 33% of his HP, so much tankier for PvE content. You can fix a lot of your mistakes by just using that heal. The rotation is pretty tight, so you're going to want near max attack speed for him, but I think a really nice rotation for Tony if you're not using a CTP of Rage. I can't yet comment on what the wow, I got guard broken there. I can't yet comment on what the rotation would be for that, but I think with a regular obelisk or with a CTP of energy or a CTP of destruction, which is what I have, try to proc on 5. The majority of the fifth skill damage comes at the end after when he snaps, so those first few hits of the fifth skill are actually a good way to trigger your proc. It's not always ideal, so you could still do 2 cancel 5 for your proc like we used to do with old Tony. That's probably a good idea there, but I literally keep getting interrupted. It's really annoying. We'll get one of these procs. We'll get one of these rotations off. We're going to do 2 cancel 5 here. We got snared, of course. We also missed the proc again. We're going to do 2 cancel 5 for the proc. We get the proc, sure. And then you do 4. You do the full 4 to get the full thing. And then you just charge 3 just to get the buff. And then you go right back into 5. I think that's probably the best rotation for Tony. I don't think you can always work in the fourth skill because of the long cooldown, but if you can, or if you can kind of stall in between, I do think it's the best, because the all defense down applies towards the end of the fourth skill anyways, so you do get it for the you would get it for the full duration of the fifth skill. The only reason why I'm not getting it is because Cull Obsidian keeps kind of cleansing himself, but if he didn't cleanse himself, I would be able to hit that proc with the all defense down and do a lot of damage. His fourth skill also has good damage if you want to just proc on that, and we'll talk about why you have different options for Tony in just a little bit. But I do think that his 5 is very, very nice to proc on. And that was a pretty easy stage. That was a stage 30. We can jump into some more content later to show off a little bit of a higher stage, but now I want to jump back into his skills to talk about some of the big changes. So the biggest change by far is going to be that all of his skills now deal energy attack damage. They're all energy. You can see there, energy of energy, energy of energy. So you don't have to worry about him being weaker for bosses that have high physical defense, because he's not being divided anymore. If you want a reminder of what that was like, you can go back to his Infinity War uniform and you can see that 2 of his attacks, 3 and 4, were both physical. He also had some physical hidden in the middle of Iron Cannon, which is why you could possibly die to physical reflect on certain stages, but now it's pure energy as far as I've tested. I haven't actually tested the skills against a character with energy reflect in Shadowland. That's the ultimate way to test if there's any lingering or hidden physical damage. I assume, or I hope there isn't, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But at least from the looks of it, when I'm playing against Cull Obsidian, 4 and 5 are dealing, you know, very, very good damage, which in my mind, in my opinion, means that they're dealing full energy attack. There may be some physical on the third skill because it does pretty low damage, but you're just doing the third skill for that 7 seconds of increased damage to supervillains, and then you got the all defense down that you're stacking up for the fifth skill. Now the bonus ash damage, a lot of people are going to ask about this. I don't know what it is, and I don't think it applies to world bosses, so we're going to have to see. Possibly it will showcase itself in Shadowland or in ABX. I don't know if it's going to work in PvP. It doesn't work against debuff, or it doesn't ignore debuff like Fracture does. The time freeze also doesn't ignore debuff, so you can't bypass debuff that way. But they're very, very strong skills. The fourth skill, as we showed in the game in the stage, has a heal, but it's not listed. But it's an unlisted 33% heal, which is very nice. So the combination of all of his skills dealing energy damage, and the combination of all of these really nice PvE effects, like a 30% damage to supervillains that you can keep up basically the full match because it's a 7-second cooldown on a 7.5 second skill. The all defense down, which you can also keep stacked because it's a 10-second all defense down, and you have the skill available every 8.5 seconds. You know, those two effects right there are good enough to put him on a much higher punching level for World Boss Ultimate. Now, I'm still not that impressed with him for World Boss Ultimate because there are just better energy characters out there. In a lot of cases, I'm comparing him to tier 3s like Jean Grey or Sharon Rogers or Doctor Strange, but you can just compare Iron Man to Gambit. Now, I know Gambit is a bit of an unfair character to compare a lot of characters to, and he is a premium character, and he's got the, he's got the 60% all defense down. But, you know, my tier 2 Gambit with 25, 25, 22, and 22, so he's not quite as well built as Iron Man, because Iron Man's full 25s, and he's got a CTP of energy, whereas Iron Man's have a CTP of destruction. He doesn't seem to be as strong as Gambit for World Boss Ultimate. So we can just do a really quick comparison here on stage 40. We'll use the exact same team up twice. So we're going to jump in, we're going to do a couple rotations with Iron Man, and then we're going to go back and do a couple with Gambit. Now, I'm not saying Tony Stark is bad for PvE content by any means, but I don't want to be too hype about him, and I don't want to imply that he's like the best. He's not even the best blast character for PvP, and you can still miss with his fifth skill. I mean, it's really nice when you can time freeze the boss with his fifth skill. It's really, really nice for his survivability, and it makes the stage a lot easier to complete. So he does have a lot of really nice effects. But I just don't want to overvalue or overstate Iron Man's value in PvP in PvE, sorry, because he's not, you know, he's not number 1 at tier 2, and I also doubt he's going to be number 1 at tier 3. I don't think he's going to be able to outclass Doctor Strange. Here we're going to try to cancel 4 into 5 to get that to get the all defense and stuff, because we're a bit behind on the proc right now. But otherwise, that was good, but we're getting bled a lot, so we're gonna have to run this full skill out here to get the heal, and then we're just gonna pop 5 for the protection, and then 3, and then back into 4. This is also a pretty nice rotation if you want to do 5 into 4 instead of 3, but you just want to do 3 after 5 because of the immunity that's still up to protect you, because 3 has no iframe. The one bad thing for Tony Stark in general, the one negative about this rework, is that he lost his iframe on 3. So he used to have an iframe for the full duration of the third skill. It's gone. So that is something that may make you struggle a little bit at first with him. You just have to get used to the rotation a little bit more. But I think he may still need guard break immunity for PvE content, because you have the super armor, but otherwise you don't have any protection when he's using that 5th skill, and he can get guard broken during the 5th, and he can get guard broken during the 3rd now, because the 3rd's not an iframe at all. I wonder how early you can cancel the 4th skill and still get the heal. Anyways, not the greatest damage. Not bad, but not the greatest damage. That was about 2 minutes, and we did down to 14.5 bars. Now we're going to sub in Gambit, and again, it's kind of unfair to compare him to Gambit. Tony Stark has other value that Gambit doesn't have, like for ABX. And Gambit is specifically a hero to fight one-on-one, whereas Tony Stark has a ton of AoE, and he's got other cool effects like a heal, like time freezing, etc. Gambit is just damage, 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 damage. But if we're going to compare him to tier 2 characters, because again, it's unfair to compare Iron Man to tier 3 characters, and I think that's what a lot of people are going to wonder, is he better than Doctor Strange? Is he better than Jean or Sharon Rogers? You can see here that there's really no question that Iron Man is not the de facto, he's not even close to #1 for blast characters for PvE content. Is he very fun to play? Yes. Does he have beautiful animations? Yes. Is he a lot better than he was? Yes. Is he #1? Not by a long shot. In less than 30 seconds, I've done more damage. Now, very, very easy to proc with Gambit. Not as easy to proc with Iron Man. Iron Man's going to do a shit ton more damage with the CTP of Rage, so keep that in mind as well. To unlock Iron Man's full potential, which is more comparable to Gambit, you would have to give him a Rage CTP. In this case, I'm not yet ready to give him a Rage CTP. If I'm going to tier 3 him, I will probably give him a Rage CTP to test him out, but I'm not yet sure. I want to do a bit more testing in PvP to see if he has some value, because Destruction would be the best CTP for him for PvP, I think. Destruction or Regen. He might be really tanky with a Regen, so I encourage some people, if they have the opportunity, to try him with a Regen in PvP to do that. But right now I have his build with Urus and stuff for PvE with a Rage, because I've maxed out. I've almost gotten ready to cap out his crit rate and his crit rate and his dodge for that. But overall, I would say it's a very good rework for Iron Man. Again, it doesn't make him a broken character, which is really good, but it does address a lot of his weaknesses. It makes him really fun to play. It gives him the effects that we wanted him to have. It gives him a sneaky heal, which I think is really cool, and it's really nice synergy because it's Rescue coming in and actually healing him, which is nice. We get to see the snap on his 5th skill. We get the arc reactor at the bottom, and I think for people who have tier 3'd him and have purchased this uniform and have mythic'd him, they will be happy, because I think his damage is going to be very good. It's not necessarily going to be #1, but it's going to be a lot better than it was, than it's ever been. And to be near the conversation with characters like Jean Grey and Doctor Strange, they got such massive bumps. And that's one of the things that's a little bit unfair for Tony. If you look at the tier 3 stat bump, okay, he gets, what is that, 12,000 HP? Whereas Doctor Strange and Jean Grey got double their HP. So that would be like saying, instead of getting 49,000 HP, if Tony Stark was going to jump to 72,000 HP. So you're talking about a difference of like, what, 20,000? A little bit more than 20,000 HP that he's missing, 20, 23, 24, 25,000 HP, different, right? Compared to Doctor Strange and Jean Grey. And then even the energy attack is pretty low. So that kind of, it just doesn't, that lowers his potential. That limits really what can happen. But I still think he's a strong character. It just depends on what you want him to do. If you're gonna buy this uniform expecting him to be like he is in the movie, he's definitely gonna do that for you. Is his power level gonna be like he is in the movie, where he snaps Thanos and everybody else away? Not quite. You're gonna need Jean Grey or Doctor Strange for that. So yeah, this is the first impression of the new uniform. I'm very impressed visually. I'm quite impressed as well with, in terms of the skill effects and how they apply and how you play them, and just how that goes. But I just don't want the hype to be too overblown, because it's Endgame, because it's Tony Stark, etc. So more testing to come, possibly tier 3 down the road. I'm not sure yet. Let me know what you guys think. Also, holler at me with your testing if you have a CTP of Rage on him and you have him at tier 2 or tier 3, and or a CTP of Regen. I'm very curious about those two specifically. Hit me up in the comments down below. Hit me up on Discord, Twitter, etc. If you got videos, send them to me. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow, later today. Take care.